time. All the time.
In Mali, Niger, the Gambia, Burkina Faso, Guinea,
Benin.
You can also follow our programs in Ghana, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Togo, and across Senegal. Don't miss our daily news bulletins, newsletter, educative and informative programs, and lots more.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 o'clock in Lagos. Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. More than 40 people missing following tragic motor accident in Nigeria's Sokoto state.
Meanwhile,
Ghanaian nurses and midwives protest for over 8 months unpaid salaries.
Meanwhile, a section of our colleagues have been paid with all their arrears. How possible can someone receive salaries but others have not and have their financial clearance expired?
Burkina Faso expels UN systems coordinator over alleged false report.
That Mrs. Carol Florence Merritt Nyang, coordinator of the United Nations system, is declared a non grata on Burkina Faso territory.
Persona non grata sur le territoire du Burkina Faso.
Mali's military junta marks 5 years in power. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
We are glad you have joined our broadcast this evening. We begin in Nigeria, where over 40 people are missing following a boat accident in Sokoto state located in the northwest of the country. The boat, which was transporting more than 50 passengers to a market, capsized on Sunday. According to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, rescue workers are currently searching for additional victims of the incident. WADR's Usma Umar has the details.
In a statement issued on Monday following the incident, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, stated that about 10 people have been rescued, while more than 40 passengers remain missing. Boat accidents are common in Nigeria's poorly regulated waterways due to overcrowding and poor maintenance, particularly due to annual rainy season when rivers and lakes overflow. In August 2024, at least 16 farmers died in a similar accident when a wooden canoe carrying them across a river to their rice fields capsized in Sokoto state. Also in May this year, a boat accident claimed the lives of at least 27 people in the Gbajibo community in the Kayama local government area of Kwara state. The Kwara tragedy occurred barely 7 months after a similar incident claimed the lives of 100 people in the area. Additionally, on July 29, 6 girls drowned after a boat taking them home from a farm work capsized midstream in Jigawa state. 2 days earlier, at least 13 people died in another boat accident in Niger state. Meanwhile, regarding this latest tragedy, the Director General of NEMA, Zubaida Umar, said the agency activated its response immediately after receiving reports that a boat conveying over 50 passengers to Goronyo Market had capsized. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Elsewhere in Burkina Faso, the remains of activist Alain Christophe Traoré, popularly known as Alino Faso, arrived in Ouagadougou today. The web activist died in detention at the Abidjan Gendarmerie Academy in Cote d'Ivoire. Burkinabe authorities are calling it an assassination, while those in Abidjan are calling it suicide. The case has sparked renewed diplomatic tension between the two countries. Meanwhile, the government of Burkina Faso has expelled Karo Frori Sanyag, the UN Systems resident coordinator in the country. She is accused of co-chairing the preparation of a report titled Children and Armed Conflict in Burkina Faso, which the authorities claimed lacks objective sources and justification. They have labeled the information in the report as false. Sankula Janko completes the story.
In a statement read on state television on Monday, Burkina Faso government spokesperson Gilbert Wadr said the report resembles a compilation of unfounded claims and lacks supporting documentation. He noted that it does not include copies of investigation reports or court rulings regarding the alleged violations against children attributed to the valiant Burkinabe fighters.
Ce rapport, qui ressemble à une compilation.
This report, which looks at a compilation of baseless and counter-truthful statements, does not contain an annex or a copy of the investigative report, nor a counter-order to investigate the alleged cases of rape against children. The government is aware of the national and international opinion that Mrs. Carol Florence Merit Nyang, coordinator of the United Nations system, is declared a non grata on Burkina Faso territory.
Persona non grata sur le territoire du Burkina Faso.
Wadr added that the document addresses several issues, including the analysis of the political, military and security situation, as well as serious violations committed against children outlined in Resolution 1612/2005. According to him, the information was compiled and published without Burkina Faso's involvement. Minister Wadr criticized the ongoing actions of certain United Nations agencies in Burkina Faso, accusing them of using ambiguous terminology that, according to him, reflects a clear intention to legitimize or interpret the atrocities suffered by Burkinabe people over the past decade. The government of Burkina Faso stated its belief that, given the significant discrepancies noted, and in order to preserve and enhance the vital achievements of cooperation between Burkina Faso and the United Nations, the coordinator of the United Nations system is no longer credible interlocutor.
Sankole Janko fired that report. In Benin, a tragic road incident left dozens fear dead. During the night of August 16 and 17, an STM passenger bus traveling from Lomé to Niamey plunged into the Kweme River near Cho in the Glazoué area. Out of 54 passengers, only 9 survivors have been rescued and hospitalized in Sevi. One body has been recovered while 44 remain missing. President Patrice Talon has activated the OSEC emergency response plan, deploying rescue and security teams to the scene. Among the survivors, some were taken to hospital. Reports indicate that the bus had set out from Lomé in Togo and was heading to Malamville in northeastern Benin. The vehicle carried Malian registration plates.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now in Ghana, a coalition representing over 7,000 nurses and midwives employed in public health facilities staged a protest today, Monday, demanding the immediate payment of 8 months' salary arrears. The health professionals, who say they have not received any pay since January this year, reportedly facing severe economic hardship. The group, known as the Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives, organized the demonstration to draw the attention to the dire conditions on which they continue to work. According to the coalition, the government has failed to fulfill its financial obligations despite granting them financial clearance, a critical step required to authorize the salary disbursement. In an interview, the coalition's convener, Stephen Kojo Teya, emphasized the emotional and psychological toll the situation has taken on the affected health workers.
We should have been here in our numbers, but our financial situation did not permit us. For 8 months now, since January 2025, we have worked tirelessly in the hospitals, in clinics, and in health centers across the country without receiving a single salary. We have given our best to care for the patients. Even we ourselves are sinking in despair. Where at all did we go wrong to deserve this kind of treatment? And so we ask, Mr. President, who cares for the caregiver? We were financially cleared before posting an assumption of duty, and we have all official documents to prove, including our appointment letters. Yet today, the Ministry of Health tells us our financial clearance has expired. They claim to have written to the Ministry of Finance for extension. The Ministry of Finance intent says there is no budget for us until government complete payroll audit to remove ghost names. Meanwhile, a section of our colleagues have been paid with all their arrears. How possible can someone receive salaries but others have not and have their financial clearance expired when we received the financial clearance at the same time and were posted at the same time? While bureaucracy stores our fate around, our lives are deteriorating daily. So, Mr. President, who cares for the caregiver?
Stephen Kojo Tekia is the head of the Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives in Ghana. We continue in Ghana because the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, has rejected calls by the Bar Council of England and Wales and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association to reinstate suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono. He insists the suspension is constitutional and will remain in place until an inquiry committee completes its work. Nadia Detete has more in this report.
Ghana's Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dr. Dominic Ayeni has firmly rejected calls by the Bar Council of England and Wales and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association for the reinstatement of suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono. Dr. Ayeni insists the suspension follows the clear procedures set out in Article 146 of Ghana's Constitution. He explains that 3 petitions alleging misconduct and incompetence were filed against the Chief Justice. After reviewing her responses, the Council of State advised the President that a prima facie case had been established, leading to the formation of a 5-member inquiry committee and her suspension pending the outcome. In a statement dated August 14, 2025, the Bar Council of England and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association demanded of Ghana's president and the executive to immediately reinstate Justice Tokono. They argued that Ghana's tradition of respect for the rule of law was at stake and pressed for fair and transparent procedures, including access for her legal representatives and a definite time frame for the conclusion of the process. Responding, the Attorney General stressed that the process is fully independent, the Chief Justice has legal representation, and government cannot interfere with the outcome. He added that attempts to halt the inquiry have already been dismissed by both the Supreme Court and the High Court, while the case is also before the ECOWAS Court. For now, Dr. Ayeni says the suspension remains in force until the committee completes its work and delivers its report. For WADR, Nadia Detete, Accra.
Elsewhere in Liberia, a coalition of activist groups led by the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand has sharply criticized President Joseph Boakai's administration, citing ongoing human rights abuses, corruption, and economic mismanagement. In a press briefing this Monday, the coalition referenced the U.S. State Department's 2024 countries report on human rights practices in Liberia as evidence of the government's failure. Meanwhile, the coalition of activist groups, through its chairman, Moba Malu, announces plans for a major protest scheduled for December 17 to press the Boakai's administration to respond to the demands outlined in its petition submitted on July 17th.
President Boakai's refusal to use his retirement job to prioritize the needs of the people leads us to agree with the U.S. State Department report, which confirms that there has been no significant changes in the first 1 year of the Joseph Boakai-led administration, thus suggesting that Liberia remains trapped in a cycle of waste and disregard for the Liberian people. Violations are fast spreading everywhere. These actions violate Articles 6 and 7 of the ICCPR, Articles 4, 5, 6, and 9 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and Articles 11, 15, and 20 of the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. The Boakai administration's refusal to respond to the July 17 enough is enough petition. The December 17 protesters will assemble right at the perimeters of the executive mansion, which is public and must always be accessible to peaceful citizens. Any attempt to block or intimidate peaceful protesters will simply fail and shall prove futile.
Moba Molu is the chairman of the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day in Liberia. Meanwhile, the National Office of the West African Examinations Council, WAEC Liberia Office, has released the provisional results for the 2025 regional examinations. According to the head of WAEC Liberia, Wadr, a total of 51,719 candidates sat the WAS at the senior level across 379 centers. Here are the details from Wadr.
The table below provides a performance of candidates for WAS for school candidates 2025, and we are giving you 8 per subject. This table clearly says that our candidates found biology to be challenging. Of the 51,700 candidates that sat the exam, 27.45% passed biology. Interestingly, history recorded the highest percentage pass rate. History of the 48,062 candidates that sat this exam, 87.41% candidates passed history. And when you look at how many subjects we call at least 60% pass rate, you see that we have only 4 subjects. History that had 87%, chemistry, interestingly, 64.31, geography 62.18, and literature of English 61.48. The candidates are struggling with mathematics and English language. Yes, it is true that 58% of them pass in English and 54% pass in mathematics and major subjects. Performance as a pass rate in 5 subjects in a course. So the 51,719 candidates who came in for this exam, 1.59% of them passed clearly. 822 candidates were successful in passing in at least minimum 5 subjects. And I also want to highlight that this is the highest number we recorded since we started giving WAS when it comes to the number of candidates that pass in a minimum of 5 subjects with credit, including English and mathematics.
Dale Boto is the head of WAEC Liberia office. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa, Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. More than 40 people missing following boat accident in Nigeria's Sokoto state. Ghanaian nurses and midwives protest for over 8 months unpaid salaries. Burkina Faso expels UN systems coordinator over alleged false report. Still ahead in the news, Mali's military junta marks 5 years in power. We also have guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's take you to Cote d'Ivoire, where the youth wing of the ruling RHDP party has formally launched a call for mobilization in support of President Alassane Ouattara's 4th candidacy in the upcoming presidential election. The move comes in response to the radical opposition led by former President Laurent Gbagbo, who, during a rally over the weekend in Abidjan, urged the supporters to resist Ouattara's bid. Christopher Aticha reports.
At a meeting held at the headquarters of the ruling RHDP, the party's youth leader called on young supporters to take to the field. Mamadou Kone urged full mobilization to back President Alassane Ouattara's candidacy in the October polls. As a first step, he invited members to rally behind the head of state in the coming days when he files his nomination with the Independent Electoral Commission. A day earlier, the opposition had organized a mass rally in Abidjan's Yopougon district. For the PPACI-PDCI alliance, the priority is to block what they describe as President Ouattara's 4th mandate. Opposition leaders insist that a 4th term would be one too many. Laurent Gbagbo spoke on behalf of the alliance.
He must understand that the 3rd term was illegal, but since it is already on the way, he should be content to complete it. What must be clear is that there will be no talk, no dream of another mandate. I want you to tell him directly, he will not have a 4th term. Our determination is firm and unmistakable. There will be no 4th term. There will be no 4th mandate.
The former Ivorian president also condemned xenophobic remarks made during the opposition march in August 9 in Abidjan. The public prosecutor has since announced legal proceedings against those responsible for the xenophobic statements.
A report from our Abidjan correspondent Marcel Ariston Blay, voiced by Christopher Watichu. Meanwhile, in Mali, this Monday, August 18, marks 5 years since the military coup that ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in 2020. Since then, the same officers, now generals, have led a prolonged transition marked by constitutional reforms, political crackdowns, and persistent insecurity. After a brief civilian-led interim government, Colonel Assimi Goïta took power in 2021 and remains head of state. A new constitution adopted in 2023 strengthened presidential powers, while political parties were dissolved in May 2025. The transitional charter now allows unlimited presidential terms until peace is restored.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
For our guest interview this evening, we take you back to Nigeria, where authorities say they've made a major breakthrough in the fight against terrorism. 2 of the country's most wanted militant leaders have been captured, a move officials say has significantly disrupted the command structure of the Al-Qaeda-linked group Ansaru. National Security Advisor Nuhur Ribadu and Niger State Governor Mohamed Bago confirmed the arrests, calling it a key moment in Nigeria's counter-terrorism efforts. To help us understand the implications of this development and what it means for national and regional security, we spoke to a Nigerian security analyst, Dr. Magic Peters.
Well, hopefully, the arrest of these 2 leaders, hopefully, and I'm emphasizing hopefully, will weaken the structure, the leadership, the operational command, and the ability of the Ansarudeen group to strike. The leaders, I don't have much of their details. I don't know if they are tactical leaders, they are administrative leaders, or they are just part of the rank and file of the leadership. So if you arrest a strategic leader, it will take a while for the group to be able to regroup and carry out any major attack. So a lot depends on what exactly were the position of those leaders, what are their level of influence, how much influence do they have, and how are they able to use that influence. So hopefully that will slow them down. Hopefully it will give reason to others to renounce the group. Hopefully we'll see a reduction in their capability and ability to attack.
How significant is this breakthrough in Nigeria's broader counterterrorism efforts?
Well, first, it's very significant to the military because it will boost their morale. Morale in the sense that they will be able to say we've made a significant progress by arresting key rebel leaders, key guerrilla fighters, key opposition, key terrorists. So it will boost their morale to the Nigerian state and to the whole of the ECOWAS and the Sahel and the Lake Basin. It will encourage others to be more emboldened in fighting this group and be able to bring them to an end. So it's an encouragement. At least it's far better than hearing that they will attack a military base or they kill 2 soldiers, 10 soldiers, or steal arms and ammunition. So I think it's a positive news to every right-thinking individual.
Could this really lead to a resurgence or a splintering of the group into smaller factions? What could this possibly lead to in terms of leadership structure?
Well, probably it could. It depends on how strategic those leaders are. It depends on if they have a succession plan in place or not. It depends on how organized they are. It depends on their determination. But in the next couple of days, we should be able to know if they are able to regroup, if they are able to restructure themselves, or every other person will go home and reunite with his family.
Moving forward, what are the likely next steps for Nigerian security forces following this development to perhaps keep up the momentum?
At least for them to consolidate. Now that they've taken out some of these leaders, they need to quickly reinforce, quickly go back to base, go back to the drawing board and go and ensure that they are picking as many leaders and followers as possible so that you don't give them room to regroup. The intelligence gathering should be in hand so that as these persons are in this arena, it's a lot easier to gather more about their information, more about their logistics and any other plan that they may have in place. I just want to encourage the Nigerian army not to give up. and all democratic elected governments in Africa to continue to be engaging, involving, and inclusive, and ensure that governance is working. And where there are pockets of resistance, that government do everything humanly possible to minimize the collateral damage to the state and to the people.
Magic Peters is a Nigerian security analyst. And up next is the latest in the world of sports with Christopher Atichu. Hello, Chris.
Augustine, good evening.
Well, I'm fine. Welcome and tell us what's happening in the world of sports.
Right, so in the world of sports, let's begin first of all with tennis, as Senegal won gold at the 2025 Davis Cup African Group 3 tournament in Harare, Zimbabwe, securing a spot in the World Group 2 playoffs set for early 2026. And despite a narrow win to Nigeria on the final day, the Senegalese team topped the standing with strong overall performance. And away from tennis, let's do some developments regarding the ongoing CHAN event happening, as Morocco and Kenya have actually booked their spots in the quarterfinals of the CHAN 2024 following Sunday's final Group A matches in Nairobi. Defending champion Morocco beat DRC 3-1 at Nyayo Stadium, while host Kenya edged Zambia 1-0 at Kasarani to top the group with 10 points. And let me also bring you some games
ongoing matches
currently happening in the CHAN tournament, as we get to see that indeed the tournament is really fired up. But before that, let me bring you the basketball ongoing results, where today's game between Mali and Guinea, we saw Mali edge Guinea 70-67, and then also ongoing is Senegal and South Sudan. Senegal is actually heading or leading with 19-16 in that particular tournament. And then in the CHAN game, as I told you, we will be having some results, as indeed the third group games are actually ongoing, and we get to see. I'm just trying to pull the result at the moment. But
so far it is interesting, and considering the efforts being applied, especially by countries from the West African sub-region.
Definitely. So far, 2 games ongoing at the moment. They are both in their 60th minute, where South Africa 2 against Uganda 1. Just a while ago, Uganda was actually leading that particular game 1-0, but at the moment it is 2-1 against Uganda. And again, Algeria is locked down with Niger on a 0 draw at the moment. So we hope to see what the finals of that game would actually be.
Thank you, Chris, for providing the latest in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Shekin Jai for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms: X, Instagram at WADR English, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Cully. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.
WADR